Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Thursday, the 24th of July, 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's have a look. We've got some posts here we're going to go through from CSW. Just going to have a bit of a catch up with him. Got to talk about the CipherTux article. Luckily, some internet sleuths have found the archive. Even though some of them are saying the archive has actually now been taken down, but they've copied it. They've copied it, which is ace. As have I now. So that's going to be recorded. We've got some posts here from Captain BSV going on about these Bitcoin addresses that were in the Tulip related documents. Exciting stuff. Just going to go through an article written here called Bitcoin 21 million units of freedom stock. Looks like Twetch might be making a comeback. GM either stands for gonna make it or good morning. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Got some 365 days of Bitcoin history. Yeah, and this was some more of that as to why it was so significant. And then we'll, as usual, finish off with the Kellen Schweller countdown. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong and transactions flying free. Just wait for the terror node, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, here we go. Right, let's see what CSW has been up to. So in this post, and again, it's not in a thread, it's just literally part of the post. He said, understood. Here is your long form rant in the required voice. I got ready today, not in the charming tea sipping parlour games of Wilds London, but in the blistering, unfiltered, steel to the gums way that only comes when you're elbow deep in actual bloody work and someone who's never bent a spine decides it's their moment to interpret your life. Nothing quite says modern enlightenment like the smug tone of someone explaining to you what your own actions really mean, as if you were too thick to know. It's the narcissism of soft minds, convinced that analysis is labour, that projection is philosophy, and that their interpretation outweighs your sweat. Let me make something clear. I don't ask to be examined. I wasn't submitting an abstract to be to a committee. I was doing. There's a difference. The modern disease is the endless navel-gazing commentary layered over the act of simply living. You can't even walk through your day without a pack of digital pseudo-scholars crawling out of the feed, armed with psychological insights of TikTok videos and zero real-world scars. They'll tell you you're aggressive for being focused. They'll call it trauma when you're just tired of idiots. And meanwhile, there's the work, the actual tangible grind that still matters in the decaying echo of civilization. Fixing the hose, wiring the pipe, building something with your fucking hands. Not AI prompts, not algorithmic artifice, labour. The thing they write economic models about but wouldn't touch with sterilised gloves. And God forbid you get wet doing it because suddenly that becomes a metaphor. It's not water, it's symbolism. No, it's water. It blasted me 15 metres across the yard because I'm crimping a hose wrong. That's not narrative, that's just Tuesday. Alright, so blasted him 15 metres across the yard because I was crimping the hose wrong. Well, that's a lesson learned then, isn't it? But they don't get that because they're not there when it happens. They're spectators in the arena of effort, flinging opinions from the comfort of padded seats and mistaking their commentary for contribution. You build a pump system, ? Must be overcompensating. You run a farm, ? Probably trying to avoid something. You work too hard, ? Clearly damaged. No one ever says maybe, just maybe, you do it because it needs to be done, because there's dignity in exertion, because the only thing worse than doing the hard things is not doing them and rotting in the smug trench of your own laziness. They don't know the silence that comes after the pump kicks in and holds that moment when you check for leaks, hands dripping, shirt stuck to your back, and feel that quiet, brutal pride. That's the sound of creation. It's not clapping, it's not retweets, it's the sound of something working because you made it work. That's the kind of value no market captures, no philosophy accounts for, no influencers sermonize. So yeah, I got read today, but I kept working because they can read me all they want. annotate me like a textbook, I'll still be the one turning the fucking water on. Giving it straight as ever. Second follow-up. And so while she's off to her parents, while the rest of the family entourage, I'm left in the company of OSC, or OS Cola, citations and the unflinching tyranny of footnotes. No shared wine, no dinner charters, just the cold glare of word and the silent mockery of reference lists the multiples like mold in a damp barrister's cellar. The weekend promises a return, but between now and then, I navigate the corridor of academic pretense, dragged through the procedural rigour of legal precision, while somewhere in the distance, laughter probably echoes over tea and grilled pork. Meanwhile, I get to wrestle with formatting guidelines invented by people who mistake order for substance. There's no glory in it, just deadlines, just a slow descent into scholarly madness while she is away and I'm here, tethered to the quotation marks and case names like a monk to his script, alone and muttering, with not even a foot rub to look forward to, unless Oscola grows a soul. Yeah, don't really know what all that means, but anyway, let's see what this is. To those few who've enjoyed the deluge, read each line, each twist of voice, each splintered shard of purpose welcome. You've reached terminus of experiment dressed as content. Every word above, stitched together with no accidents. I orchestrated the illusion, intentional chaos, stylized automation, clipped prompts and stacked commands to mimic the candescence of machinery. Speak, not to deceive you, but to hold up a mirror and see how do you respond when you think the author isn't human. I've often wondered that. What you've seen is craft behind the curtain, intent being syntax, a mind at play with the very boundary between signal and ghost. Your reactions, dismissal, intrigue, outrage, applause are part of the data now. This is not the future. This is the present, and I built to watch. What's this? Don't really get that, but hope people enjoyed it. He continues here. This was July 22nd, 2 days ago. He says, right now I'm sitting in the coffee shop next door, the kind of place where the air pretends not to be sweltering and the ceiling fans dream of relevance. I'm about to have an iced latte, not my usual. Normally it's espresso, straight enough giving like the truth you don't want to hear, but respect nonetheless. But today it's not the romantic Mediterranean kind of hot, but the sort of heat that climbs into your boots and files a tenancy claim. Despite the minister's best intentions, spraying hopeful clouds into an atmosphere that laughs in Fahrenheit, planting is no gentle meditation. It's a negotiation with the elements, a battle of skin versus sun, a dialogue between sweat and soil. And by the end of this week, if all goes well and no further etymological assaults occur, I'll have the first row in. The iced latte arrives like an apology. I sip, and it tastes like a compromise, not defeat. Just the kind of concession you make when you're building something that lasts. It sounds like CSW is having a whale of a time, if you ask me. Almost like reliving his youth. So that's what he's up to then, keeping himself busy. Check this out. So this was yesterday's video, and I said the news. Cyber attack on CipherTux 80,000 BTC investigative article. And Atlas here, luckily, has copied it. Check it out. Here we go. As I have done the same, or who cracked Bitcoin on the July 4th. 80,000 BTC moved in what might be the first real exploit, and you missed it. Yeah, this was the article. So he's sort of copied and pasted the bits from it, sort of gave it a different title, but all the information is there, as I did with my own as well. Check it out. Where is it? There we go. Have a look at this. There we go. 80,000 BTC moved, a turning point in Bitcoin history. Now we've got it. Now we've got it. So we can look back at it and remind ourselves, well, what an epic saga that was. An epic saga that was. But talking about that saga, somewhere else on my profile. Oh, hold on, let's go back on that one. Trying to find it here somewhere. Here we go to replies. They've been told, well, say they, you know, those in the firing line, as it were, or those who are given the orders, they have actually been given their orders not to speak about the movement of BTC or to either mention Satoshi Nakamoto. They've literally been told not to say anything about it at all. Let me just see if I can find it. Might be this one. Oh, there we go. So it was in that one there. Yeah, check it out. So Ordinary Rainbow said it's even gone from the Wayback Machine. This is very strange. And Atlas has said here, one YouTuber in the French crypto space, Power Hasher, has been briefed on what to say about the operation. They must avoid talking about Satoshi at all costs. At all costs. So this is like a worldwide operation to avoid talking about Satoshi Nakamoto and the 80,000 Bitcoin at all costs. Told you, they are shitting themselves over it. Absolutely shitting themselves over it. And this is probably one of the reasons. So Captain BSV said here, this is not a drill. BSV, BTC, BCH, check recent posts. And so on his recent post here, he said, holy smokes. Yes, the Bitcoin address, 15MZV, does appear in the Tulip Trust related documents that were submitted during the Kleiman versus Wright court case. This wallet was listed among the over 16,000 Bitcoin addresses that Craig Stephen Wright claimed were part of the Tulip Trust, a trust allegedly holding the the early mined Bitcoins by Satoshi Nakamoto. He's claiming everybody's panicking. Yeah, I'm sure they will be. Let's have a look at this. So this is the early address containing the early mined Bitcoin, you know, suspected to be controlled by Satoshi Nakamoto. But how could it possibly be? How could it possibly be? That is huge. Well, let's have a look at this article here. Bitcoin, 21 million units of freedom stock. So, this is how it goes. A religious extremist worldwide depopulation and enslavement conspiracy started 1028 BC, 3,000 years ago, when in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel 15:3, God gave instructions to his chosen people that said, now go and completely destroy the entire Amalek nation, men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and donkeys. The Amalek nation, as defined by those who feel they have been given the task, is considered to be the entire Western civilization. Anyone who is not one of them. They define themselves as the followers of their god Remphan and the worshippers of Baal, Moloch, and Baphomet. For the last 3,000 years, these people have been hiding knowledge, burning libraries and books, creating wars and causing economic collapse. They've used their knowledge of economics to asset strip the entire world and manipulate the world's resources into their control. They own the central banking networks, weapons manufacturers, they control politicians, local councils, schools, hospitals, police forces, the judiciary, the military, literally anything and everything that is significant in the pursuit of controlling society. Until the advent of Bitcoin, we the people literally had nothing to combat the overreaching power of this cabal, because all legal and political influence stemmed from economic power. However, in order for this cabal to get control of the world's financial system, they had to convert the world from a monetary system into a currency-based system and remove all secured claim of any value from the currency. This was done by orchestrating the Bretton Woods Agreement on the 22nd of July 1944, followed by the Nixon shock on the 15th of August 1971 that removed the US dollar from the gold standard that had been agreed under the Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944. Since the Nixon shock, the entire world's commerce and trade has been perpetuated using securities fraud as defined in case law by SEC versus W.J. Howico 1946. The Nixon shock gave a small group of people an unlimited amount of economic power, enabling them to corrupt all Western civilized constitutional laws and customs. Bitcoin, for the first time in modern-day financial history, gives the people the opportunity to move the world back onto a monetary financial system that no one can artificially manipulate or control, meaning a level playing field can be created, again, where no one will have any unfairly gained economic advantage. Without Bitcoin, the people would have absolutely no chance to combat the economic power and influence exerted over society by this corrupt central banking cabal. Bitcoin's total supply is 21 million Bitcoin, meaning there are effectively 21 million units of freedom stock available for the world to use. This is why it's essential that all those people who want to live in a free world with constitutional law and order presiding over how society functions get in on owning a portion of this freedom stock, since the entire world will eventually run on this network. Owning Bitcoin and using its network is the only way to combat the corrupt power of the cabal from turning our democracy into a totalitarian dystopian nightmare. Satoshi Nakamoto had a vision. That vision was Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Satoshi's vision. Bitcoin is BSV. There we go. Pretty much says it all there. Check this out. Twetch just said GM. What does that mean? Good morning. Gonna make it. But anyway, sounds like they're back. A lot of people getting quite excited about that. Ray says Twetch still cozy, referring to the hoodie with her number on it. Mikey says good morning. We got I think there's a frog there with a gun packed. Somebody waving at them. Martin Skelly saying, "Are you alive?" Irene Kavler says good morning, or gonna make it. It's time. Look at that. People loving it. Is Twitch teasing, or are they gonna make a comeback? Come on. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. Yeah, he's hoping. He's hoping. Are they gonna bring it back? That would be amazing if they are. Amazing if they are. Just in the nick of time as well. Bringing the army together. Right, let's have a quick look at the 365 days of Bitcoin history, with it being the 24th of July. Check this out. On the 24th of July 2014, Craig Wright appears at the inaugural Informer conference in Sydney, Australia, which went from the 24th to the 25th of July 2024, entitled CryptoCom Conference and Bar Camp. And we've actually got the video here on Vimeo. And what's significant about this, Dr. Craig Wright Sydney conference, June 2014, is because if we go back and look at the dates here, there we go. So on the 23rd of April 2011, that was when Craig wrote one of his final emails to Mike Hearn saying, "I've moved on to other things. Bitcoin, as in the project, it's in good hands with Gavin and everyone." So this is literally where he sort of disappeared on April 23rd, 2011. And then on the 9th of June, that's when he transferred the 1.1 million Bitcoin to David Kleiman in order for him to make a trust. And then after that, we literally hear nothing from him, apart from 2014, the 8th of January 2014. Craig Wright uses using email, Satoshi at vistomail.com, in a group chat. There's the evidence there. And again, he has a chat with the Australian Tax Office transcripts where he says, I've been running, here we go. He goes, I did my best to try and hide the fact that I've been running Bitcoin since 2009, but I think it's getting most by the end of this. I think half the world is going to bloody know. So that was so there's a sort of gap between 2011 and 2014, but 2014 at this, so just after he'd said, I'm not Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto, after one of the, I think IB Times, pointed the finger at Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto. But it was, here we go. So Craig doesn't actually really make appearance until the 3rd of June 2024, when he appears on a CGT in America to provide an expert opinion on how to secure cyber systems. But again, that wasn't anything related to Bitcoin. He was just there as a cyber security expert. But then he was interviewed by Dale Dickens at the Australia's first ever Bitcoin conference in Melbourne, called Insider Bitcoin Conference. And then just 2 weeks later, this is when he appears at the inaugural Informer Conference in Sydney, Australia, entitled CryptoCon Conference and Bar Camp. And there it is. So pretty much only the second sighting of CSW after he wrote that message to Mike Hearn in 2011 saying, I've moved on to other things. So 3 years later, he was then interviewed by Dale Dickens, and now he's at the Informer Conference on the panel here. So he obviously knew what was going on, and these guys obviously knew that he was an early Bitcoiner. But this is quite interesting because they were trying to explain Bitcoin, and he was just contradicting them because obviously he knows, and basically put them all in their place. And they were just like, who are you? Who are you to tell us what Bitcoin is? But now we know. Yes, indeed we do. Loving that. Right then, that's a 20-minute show, spot on. We'll leave it there. So remember, it's the 24th of July, 2025. We are on. We've got 56 days of the remaining of the Kellenschweller countdown, which is very exciting. So I might do a chart show later on just to have a look at some of the figures. But we've got the price here on the top left saying 28.33. Right, we'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. And as ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you tuned in to the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.
Remember, Bitcoin is BSV. Everything else is BS.